Hey everybody, this is Tyson
and Logan,
and you're listening to Dad, Bods, and Beards podcast. It's a show that gives you a fresh look on being a father, a husband, and honestly, a man being in today's world.
For people who want to have a good time, laugh, and be uplifted, thanks for subscribing and listening. Now for the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to Dad, Bods, and Beards, and today is episode 50. It's been a long ride. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that will do an episode a week and they get to 50 a lot faster, but we have lives and we have other episodes that we had to completely cut out in the past, but
We did?
Yeah. Did I not tell you?
No.
I think I had one episode that we just never used when I was the one editing everything.
Why? Was it that
I
bad?
can't remember. I just think that we were just off and I don't know where we were going. I think it's somewhere on my computer, but
I kind of want to listen to it.
But for what we've produced, this is episode 50. So I just wanted to start off before we get into part 2 of what we talked about last episode. I just wanted to take a kind of a gratitude second and just say that I am beyond grateful to be here doing this with my best friend and having met Tommy and doing everything that we're doing together. There's obviously business ventures involved that we would like to see this get to one day. But I'm extremely grateful for the outreach and the feedback and everything that we have gotten since we've started this.
Yeah.
Because I think back to when we were just literally both sitting in our basements with webcams, starting to talk about our feelings. And now we have people that have recognized us and people that send us messages and say that what we're doing matters. And for that, I'm super grateful.
Yeah, our first episode, our second episode, we didn't really know the direction this was taking.
Mm-mm.
We were just talking. And then every time we talk, even when we're just playing around, even still today when we're talking about conspiracy theories that you love that I have no idea.
Yeah.
Or any, like even our business one that we talked about, stuff like that, it always goes back to the same stuff.
Gratitude.
Yeah. And
self-love.
And it's just like, I guess that's who we are.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful that we found our voice, and we found a voice very quickly.
Yeah.
And what we wanted to make this podcast about, and it's fun. It's like I was telling you before in several episodes. It's like this is very therapeutic to me.
Oh, it's
and
insanely
I'm so
therapeutic.
grateful that people listen and find value.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point of this is people are able to find value and be able to implement certain things that we say in their lives.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. To me, that's really cool because we're just two regular guys.
Yeah.
And we're just two friends that just kind of talk about our life problems and our life issues and things that we're grateful for, things that we need to work on, all that kind of stuff. So it's really cool that people want to listen to us because they're our family.
Yeah.
And we know most of them. We know a lot of them. We don't know most of them.
Well, the same thing. We've riffed off a couple of topic ideas from some people that are very like religiously following it, and it's meant a lot. And I can't help but kind of get caught up in like the very recent history, like nostalgia of first episode we ever recorded was literally in the barbershop, super echoey.
Yeah.
Right. And then we're like, oh, this is too echoey. So the next 2 episodes we recorded on your mom and dad's couch.
Uh-huh.
And then we're like, oh, let's just do StreamYard. And then that was okay. But then like internet connections were bad. And we had, help.
Microphones were a little weird. Everything.
And then we went to help from Jace for a little bit. He was helping us produce just the website of it.
He did a great job.
And helping us just with the editing. And it was just doing that. And then meeting Tommy and now having like physical studio and getting to physically bring guests in. And it's just, I would like to say, oh, I could have imagined this, but this is exactly what we envisioned it becoming, and it's going to become 10 times more than this too. So I am insanely grateful, and we couldn't do it without all of you guys that watch, that listen, that follow.
I didn't realize, we really don't pay attention to our views and all that kind of, like we really don't.
And like the downloads and stuff like that.
Yeah, but then when there was a particular episode, I'll just say it was Eric's episode, and they were wanting to know because his story is very inspirational.
Yeah.
And so someone was asking us how many people got to see Eric's story.
Yeah.
And then when you reply, I'm like, I don't know, like Logan can check because you have all the access. And
at the time, I think it was over like
702,000.
Like, oh, it was over 700,000. Now it's over 1 million.
Yeah. And I'm just like, wait, 1 million people listen to what we had to say.
They listen to, isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And I'm just like,
it's impactful.
It's just, I'm, if you think about it that way, it's amazing.
Yeah. It's because that's what we want to do. We want to break down the stigma behind men's mental health, men's struggling, just things that we all silently don't want to talk about, and how it can improve our lives by focusing on those things in a positive way, and also to shed light and bring information that we may not know about. Talking with Dr. Hawkins, and
which, by the way, we need to have her in here.
Yeah.
Just because, unfortunately, you remember she had to get on her phone.
Yeah, it was,
and the connection.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's kind of the nostalgia stuff of like, we had this amazing, we've had amazing people on the show, but we had to like poor web connections and stuff, like Dr. Hawkins, Dr. West. We've talked to,
David, the therapist.
Yeah, and then we talked to Mike about personal training, and with his wife.
Which, by the way, I talked to him, and he's actually I talked to him yesterday, and he's coming to Utah, and I'm like, dude, when you're here, let us know because I'd love to have you in. And I'm like, we don't even have to talk about anything like with training or anything like that. I'm like, you can just come and talk with us about the certain day's topic.
Yeah, that's cool. And then to where Jordan was our first in-studio guest, my buddy that I grew up with, and his experience in the Navy and being shot in the head, and now, a force for good and a beacon of light, even though he's been through literal hell and back. And then having Eric Thompson on, and him, just his story of battling ALS, and it's like, this is just so fulfilling and so therapeutic, and to create these relationships with everyone who's been involved in Dad Bods and Beards. And now it's a freaking legitimate business, and we have a merch website, and we have so many other plans, and it's just the same thing. Like I said last episode, if I could just scoop up Logan 10 years ago and be like, dude, you have no idea what's coming, and it's going to be because you started focusing on yourself and getting help, and then you met one of the best friends you will ever have, and because of that positive interaction, you guys started something impactful, and that impact was helping other people become an impact, and it just spreads like a ripple, dude. You throw a rock in a lake, and it's just.
So one of the listeners DM'd me. Like, we get tons of DMs, and I unfortunately we can't get to them all.
Yeah.
But I did open this one, and we're having a conversation. And he's like, Tyson, what you and Logan are doing is amazing. What I hope to see in the future, and I loved what he said. He's like, you need to have you guys replicated. So, like, you have a program, and this is talking about in the future, like, hey, like, this is what, they are Tyson Logan replicated, and they go out and outreach for people, and they go outreach. So everyone, there becomes a brotherhood where everyone is helping everyone. And I'm like, I love that. Mm-hmm. And that's why, I know Patreon will cost money, and it costs money, but it's because we do not have access and time to be able to reach all the thousands of people. And so if those people who really want to connect and really want to feel will be in one center place where all of us can talk and all of us can have a communication.
That's why we wanted. That's why we started the Patreon, so we can do that.
And so I'm like, I know, but then everyone, it's like the people who really want to be a part of that now can be. And we have a place where we can be that. And so I think it's just really cool what two simple guys what we've been able to accomplish, and I'm very grateful for them.
I agree. With the help of some very key people, we've
been
able to do that. And I think this
is it weird to you? Sorry to interrupt. Is it weird to you that people like believe in us?
Yeah, because this will spill probably perfectly in the segue into what we're talking about. Just because we're talking, part two of believing in yourself and how you talk to yourself and everything. But it's a weird space because it's like we want to talk about the exciting success that we're starting to have with the show and the company and stuff like that, right? But then you will get some people that are like, they think it's gaggy or cringe to talk about the success, or like, it's not a showboat situation. We're not bragging that like, oh, we've created a podcast that's starting to do well. It's that, no, we've fought through some difficult times with this, and things aren't perfect all the time. I mean, we have hiccups, we have setbacks, we have things that don't work, we have edits that have to be, cut out. There's all kinds of stuff. But so sharing the wins, because the wins are having impact on people's lives, is so self-fulfilling, like, and so like therapeutic, that it's like I have no problem boasting about the fact that it's becoming what it is, because it's not like, oh, look at me, look at me. It's like, look at us. Look
Yeah.
at this community that we're a part of now, because two buddies decided to do what thousands of other people are starting to do with podcasts. But it's like when you have one that hits, and we all have our favorite podcasts, and the Vodcast network that we're a part of has a, like, just this goal, this one view, and this one drive to just impact people's lives positively. And I'm just insanely grateful to be a part of that, and to
Well, so that's
do it.
kind of where I was going with. It's not. I sometimes get shocked that people love to hear what we have to say.
Yeah.
But more that people believe in us, that will invest their time.
Yeah.
And their energy to help us produce this. So like from Tommy to even Copper John's, where like you.
Yeah.
Like Matt, Courtney, all these people that are believing in me and believing in you, and it's inspiring. It's humbling.
Yeah, I think
and it makes
positive.
me question their intellectual
Yeah.
ability
Like,
to
you doing what? Like, you trust me?
what? No, but it's just like man, that's really cool that you guys believe in us that much.
So if anything, if we can segue into the kind of like wrapping up this conversation, segue into the episode content, is I think that it's safe to say that when we're kind of somewhat examples of when you start to believe in yourself and you chase things regardless of how hard it might be. If it's a good-hearted intent, like we say this all the time, you will get back what you're putting out. Sometimes you will also get crap back that you don't deserve, but as you're trying to have like a positive, outlook and move forward, a lot of good can come too if you're looking for it. So I'm just insanely grateful. So wrapping this up without continuing to drone on, thank you. Thank every single one of you who have spent any time on anything that Tyson and I do, and it just means a lot.
And with that,
See you next week.
We will break away for a song.
No, do not start singing.
Wise men say only fool. Okay, anyway.
You're on a singing kick right now.
I really am enjoying it. I'm not going to lie.
It's because I told you one time you sounded good. Oh.
It probably is. Like, Logan thinks I sing good.
Oh, the whiplash that our episodes give people.
Whoa, I'm blacking out.
You all right?
That was weird.
Hey, you gotta stop singing. You gotta stop pushing all the air out.
I really
you gotta keep some inside your chest.
My eyes are going.
All right, buddy?
Fat.
Stop. You can't say that in this episode.
Okay. I'm so skinny.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm sweaty. Okay.
All right.
My ear itches now.
Let's go.
All right. We talked about a negative and ineffective communication to ourselves last episode. So now I want to talk about building ourselves up, building what is right with us.
Sure.
So it is good for us to be self-aware.
Yeah.
It is good for us to know our traits that aren't necessarily good, the things that we make mistakes in, so that we can better them. But we don't want to dwell on them, but we want to help them.
Sure.
But we also want to build on what is right. We want to build ourselves up. And so not fake, not truthful things, like things that are really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I love people. Like, I want to be kind to people. I want to do all that kind of stuff. And so that's just me. And I'm like, yes, I'm a good person. I'm a nice person. I'm a kind person. I'm a loving person. And to me, that's true. And so that's kind of what we're talking about. So how do you build on what is going right instead of what is going wrong?
I think we kind of touched back to last episode. I think it's about perspective, right? It's really, really easy to focus on what's going wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy to think about the things that are bothering you. There was a point in my life where I was, you know, I was 18, 19, or like 19, 20 years old, and I was really struggling with where I was at. And I was telling my dad, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I was like, I got to be done. I got to come home. And I just, move on or whatever. And he's, great dad advice. He just said, Logan, you can go into a room and you can find 100 things wrong with that room. And that is all that you're going to see. You're going to see those 100 things that are just going to stick out like a sore thumb. He said, or you can find 100 things right with that room. And then you'll see the beauty in those things of how they work with one another and how they add to the aesthetic of the room and their use and their their productivity and things like that. And he said they're all the same things in the same room. Nothing is different about the room. The only thing that's different is your perception and how you are looking at it. And then from there, like we said before, it's like a ripple effect.
Yeah. There is a point when to build what is right, to actually practice self, positive vibes or whatever, affirmations, I think you have to revamp and be intentional on what you're thinking.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I have physically had to shake my head. Like, I'm like, get that out. Like, I had to physically move my head to get things out sometimes. I'm like, why am I thinking about that? That's stupid. That's a what if.
Yeah.
In the future, this happens. I'm like, I don't need to think about that because it hasn't happened and it may not happen. So why am I even worried? So I think you have to be intentional on
it has to be. I mean, it has to be meaningful. You can't just start saying positive things that don't have, the bucket doesn't hold water.
Well, and also intentional on what you think. So like, stop thinking about this and think about this. And I think, like we talked about in the last episode, it's going to build more confidence. It's going to build, and once you have that gratitude and once you have that confidence, it just kind of stockpiles.
So it's not so much just stop thinking negative thoughts or stop the harmful self thoughts. It's replacing them with something better.
Yeah. Kind of what was it, Jordan Peterson?
I think so.
Who we talked about, who talked about pornography.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, you want to get better, you look at pornography 4 times a day. He's like, that's a lot. But what did he say? He's like, and it's going to be hard for you to quit instantly, but it's a win if you only look at the next week 3 times and then 2 times and then 1 time, and then you're not even looking at it.
Sure.
So the same thing with us. What I like to think is we are so, I think as humans, the human race, we are so prone to be critical on ourselves.
Yeah.
That it's going to be very, very hard to stop instantly.
Yeah.
So like I said, you're going to have to be intentional. You're going to have to push forward. And when you do notice that you're being critical about yourself, shake your head, get it out of your mind and move forward, because it's not going to be an instant thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be
practice. It takes a lot of work. I mean, like you were saying with the other thing, I mean, sometimes those negative self-thoughts or all those things, they come from a problem that you're struggling with, or like an addiction that you're struggling with, or something that, how you're treating somebody, or like the current situation that you're in with, a friend or a partner or whatever. Like some of those thoughts stem from very real, very hard situations, and sometimes require more than just a mindset change.
Oh yeah. Like it's going to require a whole change. And sometimes it's going to require going to a doctor. Sometimes it's going to require a lot of different things, just because like some addictions and some things are just, they're rough.
Yeah. Or you have to have time. Like you said before, like you have to have time to process. Like don't take this as you're not allowed to feel sad. You're not allowed to feel upset. You're not allowed to feel angry. You're not allowed to, like, those are all very real emotions that need and deserve to be felt. But you just got to make sure that you don't let them turn into ways that you're tearing yourself down. Like, because that was one thing I wanted to talk about last time with part 1 was, like, I don't want it to come across as like almost like toxic positivity, or like you can't think about this, or you can't be critical at all in yourself. But like self-criticism, I think, is still healthy.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if I'm getting too off topic too quick, if you're going to get there, but like, I think self-criticism is very healthy, but we
talked about that. Yeah.
You have to do it in a very healthy way.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe just to kind of reiterate is like, you have
know
to
your faults.
Yeah.
Know what you need to do to make yourself better, but don't dwell on it.
Yeah. So I think it's just like, I need to improve on this because here's my reason why I want to improve on it. Because I need to improve my health because I want to be around longer for my kids.
But again, we talked about this in a couple episodes, and when you change, you need to do it for yourself and not someone else. So I want to live longer.
Yeah.
I want to be able to hike. I want to be able to, go into a movie theater
And not breathe
and
so
not
hard.
breathe so hard. And I'll, you know what I mean? So it's just things like that. So and what are the consequences if I make myself healthier? I'm going to be able to be longer for my
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's just like all these things are going to have to be you. On you. You're in charge of your happiness. No one else is. And so when you look at it that way, you have to put in the work, not someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of what the problem is with me, is when I am a people pleaser, I get all my happiness from other people and how I am perceiving them, how they feel about me.
Sure.
And so all of a sudden I do a really good day in sales on Copper Johns. I'm like, oh, everyone likes my product. Everyone likes
You're
me.
getting like the outside stimulation.
And then all of a sudden, maybe I get a poor sales day. I'm like, oh, everyone hates my product. You know what I mean? Or I get a bad review. And I'm like,
do you ever find yourself with kind of being a people pleaser? Do you ever find yourself like, I guess I'm trying to think of the words, like maybe stretching the truth or like telling someone something that they want to hear.
oh,
Just so that you don't
exactly
hurt their feelings, or maybe not even necessarily classify it as like a lie, but just like you're not wanting to let them down because you don't want to make them feel bad because you know it's going to make you feel bad.
It's 100% what a people pleaser does. And I've learned, and I am learning, and it's a constant battle. I think it's going to be a constant battle for my whole life.
Sure.
But at the same time, I'm a lot better, and I understand what I'm doing, and so I know my problem. I'm fixing it. I'm adjusting it every day. But I've noticed that I can be a lot more blunt. In sometimes in a bad way, but sometimes I think the bluntness helps.
Sure.
Like when someone's like, "Hey Tyson, you want this?" No.
Nope. Yeah. Like Vegas.
Yeah, it's just like, no, I'm not going to waste my time. Like a salesman comes to our door and, hey, we got a Kirby vacuum. Would you like to buy it? Like, no, love you to death, but I'm not going to waste your time or my time. Good luck, next door neighbor, but I don't want your vacuum.
Do you know what's funny? Is one thing that I've done and I still do, and I'm trying to work on it.
You punch them or you slap them?
No, I don't do that. No, not anymore.
Too.
I did. I did my time for my crimes. Like, no, I took criticism so hard for so many years from certain people, and I didn't put my foot down with certain people in certain situations that really hurt. That I found myself making excuses for people a lot. Not that I was people pleasing. It's like if I would talk about a certain situation to someone about that person or whatever, is that I would find myself excusing someone else's behavior, but like almost stretching the truth and almost lying that the situation happened differently, or filling in the gaps to make that person like seem better than maybe they were, because I just kind of almost had this like subconscious view of sometimes how they talk to me.
Well, and then that's the critical self-talk, is like we think so poorly of ourselves and we're talking so poorly about our faults that we accept the negative that they give us. But when we're practicing positive self-talk, because effective self-talk is, hey, this is what's wrong. I'm going to fix it. But also, guess what I'm really good at? I'm good at this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to focus on my positive as I'm working on the negative.
Yeah.
Like the negative meaning some flaws that I need to work on. Like, Tyson, you're overweight. I need to work on that. I need a better nutrition. I need to work out. I need to do better. Like, I need to go to bed earlier. I need to wake up earlier.
Yeah.
I need to study. Like, I need to, all these kind of things that you need to do. So you're working on all this stuff, but at the same time, there's so much positive that you should be focusing on. And so when that happens, I don't think you're going to be so apt to accept the negativity from other people.
Yeah, I just think that so many of us are just constantly anxious about the perception of other people.
That's the what ifs.
Yeah, it's like you're saying, and it's like we have, like you'll make excuses for certain situations or whatever. And I'm not saying you, I'm saying like you, like all of us will make because we're afraid of the outcome, or we're afraid of the reaction or whatever. And sometimes it could be tied back to like childhood trauma. Like there's a guy that I know that he makes a lot of excuses that he has no business making. Like it's like for other people or for other situations, because I think he has this like almost like childhood trauma that he got in trouble a lot, or whether he got beat or whatever. And so he makes excuses a lot for situations, and other people stretches the truth that doesn't need to be lied about because I think of what happened in the past. And so I think there's just this new almost like wave forward as all of us like Gen X and millennials and all these, we're all getting to the, we're all 30s and 40s and,
Mm-hmm.
even the generation after us were just like, this really sucked. And I think we're all finally cognitively starting to realize that like, this is just, I don't want to live the next 2/3 of my life this way.
Worrying about what other people think.
Yeah. And worrying about what other people think. And like, I need to focus more on myself. And I think it's this wave that's catching on. And I like that we're talking about this. I like that we're kind of riding this wave of, this is what we're experiencing. We're not perfect yet. We don't have all of this figured out. I still talk really negatively to myself all the time. But at the same time, I'm also spending the same amount of time, if not trying to spend more, talking positively to myself and about myself.
So, this is the dumbest thing, but what came to my mind as you were talking and people really caring about things. I thought about Halloween and how we get invited to a Halloween party every year.
Yeah.
And people will spend so much money and so much time on their costumes and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I just I don't care. and I don't want to spend money. Like, we don't have a lot of it, so I'm not going to spend. So one year, Candace thought it was the dumbest thing because I feel like I'm going because I want to hang out with you guys, not because I want to dress up and show off what I look like. But I made a Wolverine costume. And I bought a wig. I shaved the middle of it, and I got gel, and I put it here, and I got gloves that I had in the garage, and I put forks through them.
You made,
and I was Wolverine.
Yeah.
And it was the dumbest costume, and I'm like, I don't care. And then one year, I was I was one.
You used forks instead of like butter knives.
Oh yeah, I was complete just one fork.
Yeah.
And then one year, I was a salt and pepper shaker, and I just got on the internet, found a salt and pepper shaker, printed it, cut it out, and put it on my chest. And I'm like, I just
see, but that's like a positive thing though too, is that like you have times where you absolutely do not care what people think. But then at the same time, I could sit here and name 5 times that you do care about what people think. And that's what we're trying to say is like, and I'm the same way. There will be times I'll be sitting to my wife, I'm like, I don't care what they freaking think. And then she'll be like, yes, you do. Like, don't tell yourself that. Like, you do care about what people think. And like, it's something that I'm lying to myself. It's not a slam on my wife. It's just my wife is really good with, like bringing things into reality because I've told myself so many lies over the years, but it's not that like you need to worry about what people think. It's like, just don't lie to yourself that it doesn't affect you, process it, like think about it, work through it. Like you don't like, it's okay to worry about what some people think, but you just have to make sure it's the right people.
Well, think about movies.
Yeah.
Think about all the violence and sexuality in movies.
Sure.
And how all the violence and sexuality in movies have caused us to become numb in real life.
Oh yeah.
And think about that as with the negative or critical comments that come in your life, it just becomes the norm. And it becomes just who you are, and then it starts to affect you, and then you become depressed and all this. The stuff people talk about does affect us. And so that's why we're going to be talking here shortly about friends.
Yeah.
And about people, because as hard as you want to say, even music, the music we listen to brings out emotions.
Oh yeah.
And I'll sing to you right now, and I'll bring up some emotions.
Okay. You've sung a lot of emotions.
No, but that's all I'm saying is like there's so much negativity out there that you have to be mindful and you have to be intentional on what you bring into your mind, what you do to your mind, and who you allow in your life.
Yeah, the intentional part. I like that. Like you've said that, touch on that. It's the intentional part.
So here we go. What are some practical exercises for positive self-talk?
Are you asking me?
I am asking you. I have answers. I have lots and lots of answers.
Practical exercises for positive self-talk.
Yeah. What does Logan do to practice positive self-talk?
Well, we kind of talked about that in the first part.
Yeah. Go again.
Right? I will look myself in the mirror and tell myself things.
Dude, that's the hardest thing for me.
It is super freaking hard. It is weird. And then when you also have a history of some mental illness problems, sometimes you can be like looking in the mirror and then you're like, oh, who's that?
No,
like, it's me. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I started looking at my... ugly. It's
like
I have blackheads everywhere.
It's like the scary movies where you're like looking in the mirror and like you like turn away to look for a second, but your reflection is still looking at you, and you're like, and you look back. That's the dark
like
side.
The Harry Potter thing.
Yeah. So I do that. I've been doing that more recently.
It's good.
It helps. I know some people think it's really weird. but it helps.
It was a Saturday Night Live sketch a long time ago.
Was it?
In the 80s. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough.
Yeah,
Doggone it, people like me.
Yeah. Well,
but they got to be real. It's got to be a true thing. Like you really do believe it.
Yeah.
And dwell on that.
And here's the thing. If self-help, I know there's a million self-help books and gurus and coaches and podcasts. There's a million self-help everything out there. But if it obviously wasn't a need and it didn't help some people, it wouldn't be a thing. I think there's a lot of it out there that gets flooded, and some of it is really cringy and some of it is kind of different or whatever. But if it works for you and you're not hurting anybody and it's helping your outlook on your own life.
No, but here's the thing. Like, Logan, I can say, hey, Logan.
Hey, Tyson.
You are the skinniest, most muscular man I've ever met in my life.
And then I would tell you your prescription's off.
No, but that's what I mean. It's like a guy can tell you, you can tell yourself all this positive thing, but it's not fact. Not being mean to you, but you're not the most musculous person I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Arnold probably. No.
Yeah.
No, Brian Shaw.
Well, but here's the thing is I want to make it kind of a comparison or a note here. So did you ever see the movie with Johnny Knoxville, The Ringer?
Long time
ago. Right. So I'm not going to get into the premise of that movie because it's probably it's not good.
Yeah.
But there's a part at the very beginning of the show that he's working in a cubicle. He's obviously kind of like part of just one of 100 people. You know, it starts off with him. He's listening to a self-help book and he's like, you're a winner. You can do it. And he goes, I'm a winner. I can do it. So he's like repeating the mantra back to himself. And he was told he has to go let go a janitor. And he's like the nicest guy in the world. And he's like trying to psych himself up for this. I can do it or whatever. But then he gets to the situation and he doesn't do it. Instead, he was just supposed to tell the guy that he got fired. But instead he lies to the guy and tells them that, oh, I need you to come be my gardener at my house. That's what you're going to get. I'm hiring you, because he feels bad about this whole situation. And then that's just the whole premise of the movie of why he's doing what he's doing. But the point is like, he worked himself up and he was talking all these positive affirmations and he was going to do it. And then when he was met with the situation to do it, he flopped.
Yeah.
The point that I'm bringing that up is that you will flop. You will work yourself up, and then you're still going to be met with situations where you're going to flop, or you're going to talk down to yourself, or you're going to miss the mark. But it's important to not sit there and dwell on those situations. That you got to get back on the horse, try it again, because it's repetition. It's a litmus test. Like you just got to keep trying until you get the right results.
And so what I was saying,
sorry,
no, you're totally fine. I love that. Is you know when someone's lying. Oh. You people can feel it.
Yeah.
But so what I've always learned and what I was taught even growing up is be truthful on your compliments. And so I would say
truthful on your compliments. I like that.
And so Logan, you are one of the nicest, most vulnerable, most kind, most hardworking people I know. And when I say that, you know it's true because you deep down know that's who you are.
But I will tell you is that even now hearing that, it's not like I will be like, but I just thought of a time where I recently wasn't very kind.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do as humans, right?
So what I'm saying for that though is when you overwrite these messages, you can't just say I'm a hard worker. You might not be a hard worker.
Yeah.
So be truthful on who you are. Because you know that. And then what will happen is as you're truthful to yourself, looking in the mirror, it's like, you know what? Today I'm going to kill it because I really am, or whatever we're doing. It's like, because I really am a hard worker, or because this is important to me. The next thing you know, you keep saying it and it is important to you and you giving yourself that. And then all of a sudden you have confidence in that thing. And so all of a sudden, then that's going to lead to this and this. And then guess what? 4 days down the road, you're like, I'm a hard worker. Holy crap, I am a hard worker.
Yeah.
Look what I just did this week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so all these truths start coming about, but don't lie to yourself. Tell yourself the truth, but tell yourself the truth of the positive things that you're doing.
Well, it's like what Robert says all the time. Stand in your power.
Yeah.
Right? Like take the things that you know you're good at, the things that you know that you offer to people and to the world that are good and that you offer to yourself, and stand in that. And anybody, this is one thing I've gleaned from Robert. If anybody tries to tear me down for the things that I know are positive and impactful and meaningful, I don't even give it the space. I don't give the space. I don't give it space in my brain because I'm already hard enough on myself that I don't need one of the things that I've started classifying as a win to be torn down by somebody that
And
doesn't have
that
any
is
business.
how I feel about my singing with you.
I'm not tearing you down. I've told you it's good, but we do have our limits.
See,
Okay.
you're tearing me down.
I'm not tearing you down. It's positive, truthful criticism.
All right. So I'm going to, there's a good paragraph here. So bear with me. Write down some of the negative messages inside your mind and that undermine your ability to overcome your depression. Be specific and include anyone you remember who contributed to that message. So first of all, write down everything.
Yeah.
Write down your negative and why it's negative and who talked about it.
Sure.
Number 2, counteract those negative messages with positive truths in your life. Don't give up if you don't find them quickly. For every negative message, there is a positive truth that will override the weight of despair. Okay, I wish we were in a classroom setting. I'm not done with this.
I need a whiteboard.
No, but I would have this class. I did this for one of my sociology classes to prove a point. I said, okay, everyone, what you need. This is really cool because I wasn't planning on telling you this.
Sure.
I didn't even know it was in my mind.
Okay.
But Okay, just go on.
I'm like, come on, I'm just kidding.
No, I would have them get a piece of paper out of their binder.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, write 20 things. Give me 20 things about yourself. And everyone was like, I am Tyson. I am a man. I am. And they're just
I own 362 Dixon flannel shirts.
Yeah. And so, but you'd get down to, I like Dixon's, or I like my family. I love my family, that type of thing. Yeah. And they would get to 12 or 13.
You start running out.
And they wouldn't have anything else. And then next thing I would say, okay, now let's read them out loud. And I'm like, okay, so what about this? What about this? And like, you only talked about your physical attributes.
Interesting.
I am tall. I am overweight. I am skinny. I am muscly. But you didn't say I'm happy. I'm in love. I am spiritual. And I'm like, you're just looking at all the negatives. And so we would talk about that. And so there's so many things. Like, if I was to tell you to write a list of all the bad crap about yourself, you would have a huge list.
I could write a book.
Yeah. And that's what people do. And so what this is telling us is that you need to write all those negatives down. Who created those negatives? Like, because you might have been 6 years old and someone says something and it caused a ripple effect. And so everyone who's created those negative feelings, you write down, and then you write something to counteract that. It's like, hey, this is a problem, but guess what? I'm also this. That type of thing. So next one, keep a gratitude journal.
Ooh.
And so my therapist, David, said right from the very beginning, write 3 things that are positive, like before you get out of bed, before you look at your phone, before you even go pee.
Well, it's the wake up
list. 3 things.
It's Robert's wake up list, dude. Yeah.
3 things. Don't compare yourself to others. Reaffirm how awesome you are, independent of others.
Ooh.
Don't judge yourself.
Independent of others. Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Yeah. Who cares if Joe Schmo down the street has a 6-pack?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Judge yourself by who you are. Use positive affirmation. Now, this is cool. I don't know how it will work in my family, but I kind of want to do this with all of us. Post notes around your house with affirmations, with who you are, and like have everyone write. Like we do the love circle. I know it's really cringy with my kids. They have a hard time with it, but it works. And so just write positive things around the house.
Yeah,
it's like Isaac's here today listening to us, and I'm like, Isaac, you are a good friend.
Yeah. And
write that down and post it somewhere so when he's reading it. Or Lydia, you have such a kind heart.
Yeah.
That type of thing. And so just write those around the house for everyone to see and read, and specifically for yourself and them. Surround yourself with positive people. Be with people who practice positive self-talk.
That's a big one.
It is. That's what's scary about teenagers from 12 to 18, 12 to 21.
All of them.
Yeah, it's just like, even adults, it's just like, it's such a vulnerable stage in their life that they have to choose wisely.
Yeah.
They have to choose the right friends, because what will happen is they take on the parents' qualities up to that point.
Yeah.
And then they're going to spread out. They're supposed to leave.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to connect with their people. And so they'll start connecting. And then if those are the wrong friends, they'll start doing the things that are opposite of really who they are. And then their whole personality changes and their values are different and all that kind of stuff. So, and then if they're around the negative people, they're going to be a negative person. And so we need to be around those quality people.
So I have an interesting kind of thought on
Let's
that.
do it.
So we talk about being around toxic people, toxic situations, and things like that. Where's for you, and I don't kind of catch you on, so if you don't have an answer, we're going to catch you off guard. Like those people, I feel like the negative people or the toxic people, well, the people who aren't intentionally that way, but they're trapped in their own cycle. At what point do you stop trying to be the positive influence in their life because it's affecting your life? Because you think about like, oh, you don't want my kids to be around bad friends, but maybe maybe those bad friends need the good friend. And if, like that's just a thought I've had of kind of like, oh, I don't want you hanging out with them. What if, Jimmy and the group of friends just is really relying on you. And if you kind of back away, then he's just going to pull more.
Kind of what we've already talked about. No one should rely on you for their happiness.
But is it okay to glean that kind of from them to kind of bolster yourself up to where you can find it for yourself? Like, can you get that secondhand?
Oh yeah. I think you and I feed off each other.
Sure.
I think our positivity feeds off each other, and also when I'm stressed, like your positivity heats and so vice versa. But I think
yours shouldn't be rooted in me and mine and you or like our wives.
But if someone is habitually negative and that's all they are, and it starts affecting you, it's time to get them out of your life. Because I really do believe that, because that's the time where they need to self-check themselves. Because if you're affecting my life and bringing me down, that's not okay. Yeah,
I guess it's more so kind of like trying to find.
Like, look about kids.
Yeah.
You have parents who kick kids out of the house due to some problems that they've created that are starting to affect their family.
Yeah.
Their other kids and stuff like that. There's a point in time where you got to go live with grandma and grandpa because you're affecting the rest of the kids in a negative way.
I think kind of the gist of this is there's really no right answer, or there's no wrong. I shouldn't say right or wrong. There's not one answer. Yeah. Instead, everything has its certain situation. Like I have people and friends that I don't socialize or interact with either at all or not near as much, but I try to leave that relationship or my experiences with those people that like, you can still call me if you need me and you want to have like a real conversation, but this right now is not okay for me anymore. So that's kind of why I was trying to get your take on it of like, cause I don't want to like ditch people because they're because they're a bad influence, because I know at some point they might have some realization where they need some help.
You might, when you had bipolar, or you still have bipolar, but when you were manic and really, really bad, people stuck with you and helped you. And I don't want to take that away, because there's those situations that people need help.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that your family was there, your wife and your dad was there to help you.
Yeah.
Because my life without you would have been totally different.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that. With my daughter, it was hard for 3 or 4 years until everything was figured out. And it's actually not bad. It's not bad anymore.
Yeah.
Like we've been talking about this, and I have
the fights that are worth fighting. That
Like, not one time would I have ever given up on her.
Sure.
And my relationship with her is probably, I love it.
Yeah.
And there comes a time where you, like with Isaac, I keep thinking it's weird. Like I try not to be his parent. That sounds weird, but when you're an adult.
Yeah.
And so it's still a weird dynamic that I'm learning how to do. Like, he's my friend, and I will give him counsel, but dude, you're 20 now.
Yeah.
And so like when he's on his phone, I'm sitting there talking to him, and I'm like, he's not listening. He's not looking at me. I'm like, hey.
I'm guilty of that. Really.
Yeah. But no, I just like, I can't say, hey, put your phone down. You're grounded from your phone. You're not listening. You're not. I was like, dude, you're 20.
Fair.
I'm going to give you a spanking.
Yeah.
But I don't do that. But no, there's fights that are worth it. But then if they're just acquaintances that are hurting you and bringing you down, there's no reason to have them in your life.
And to be devil's advocate a little bit, because I know that we have a big demographic of people that have different situations that listen.
Yeah, this is generalized thing.
Oh, I know, and they all know that. And I think the thing too is there are situations where there are things that may need to happen in relationships that are super impactful and super meaningful and super deep, because you do have to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the biggest battles that when I was really deep in it and I was causing a lot of problems for my wife, and there was a lot of mentally ill toxicity that was coming from me, and we had babies, like brand new baby and a 2-year-old, and it was just the stress and the anguish and the pain that my wife experienced during that time, that there's this really hard gray area, and that you're rocking a hard place, that someone like my wife feels trapped, that she can't leave me because of, for my own safety. She was worried about what would happen with me, but at the same time, she's a mother thinking about what kind of quality of life am I giving my children if I'm growing up, if these situations don't change, if he doesn't start taking care of himself and becoming healthy. Like he's, like I was dangerous to myself, and I was like a loose cannon at times with just becoming angry. I never got physical with my wife like that. But there was times where it was just emotionally drained beyond drained, and she's trying to raise babies with me. But so I'm saying is that, like, sometimes, it was this battle that, and we still have to talk through things sometimes, because that is, sure, it was 7-8 years ago when it was really in the thick of it, but those are still very real feelings and emotions that can resurface because of a triggering situation.
That's, I think, for those things, that's why like therapy is so important.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's entire support groups that exist just for people that are the spouse or the friend or the loved one or the closest person to someone going through something very difficult, because she was, like I said, my wife was stuck in this position of like, do I have to lower the quality of my life and my children's life because of what my husband is going through?
Mm-hmm.
But I've been asking him to find help for these reasons for this many years, and he never has. So I am beyond grateful. And this is where one of my self, negative thoughts. Sometimes I will feel not worthy of the amount of time my wife has just stuck by my side when I was going through those hard times, because I'm like, you had every right to leave. You had every right to leave. And at times she didn't, because, maybe not necessarily because she was staying because she wanted to help support me. It's because she felt like she had no way out when she had every right for her own safety and the kids. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, there is no one answer and there is no gray area. But the big thing is, all it comes back to is you got to start with yourself, and you got to stop tearing yourself down, and you got to start finding a way to gain that self-respect so that you can stand up for yourself in certain situations. So, cause like I live with a lot of, negative thoughts and guilt at time. It's gotten a lot better, because it's still a part of the life that led me up to where I'm at today. So that was just a thought that I had.
Oh, it's great. Thank you. The next one is put your targets on paper to make them real and easier to stick to. And that's your goals. And that's what you and I actually, before this episode and before you knew we were going to talk about this, is the goals. Yeah. You and I have some specific goals that I think maybe for our Patreon and all that kind of stuff, we sit down and actually have, do I have something?
No, I'm scratching my nose. Oh. Sorry.
Well, you look
looking right at you. Right here.
No, but I think we show them, like, this is what I'm talking about when it's how we create goals. And because I think we all have long-term goals, is like not be self-critical. Mm-hmm. So if we don't want to be self-critical and we want to be positive talk, what do we got to do? Yeah. The daily, the weekly, the monthly, the quarterly, the yearly, until you finally get there. Yeah. And so I think it's really, really hard to look at something when you're say hypothetically you're a negative person and that's all you are. Yeah. Well, how are you going to overcome that? You're not going to say, I want to be a positive person. Yeah. It's hard. However, what can I do on a daily basis? So I think writing your things down. Exercise raises endorphins, increases a sense of well-being. I need to do better at that too. Sure. Exercising is really, really good about improving your self-talk. I do know when I do work out, I do feel better about myself. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Especially my booty. Yeah. It really just pops.
I got no butt. I don't. It's a Peterson thing. I look like we have
your legs are strong as they're it's just for some reason.
We have this running joke that like the men in our family, we look like if you stood a frog up and put pants on it. Like I can sit up against the wall and my neck and the back of my ankles touch the wall. So,
but no exercise. But the next thing, and I really will say how important this is, volunteering to help people. I think service is so important. I think service helps us, and it's so hard.
Sure.
The last thing you want to do is go help someone when you've been working all day.
Oh, yeah.
Last thing you want to do is just go do physical labor and help mow someone's yard or put sprinkling system in. But by doing that, it really does help.
It's funny you say that because there's this one guy. We call him Uncle Greg. He's not related to me in any way, shape, or form. I ended up working with him for a little bit when I was helping manage that trucking company for a few years. He was one of the drivers turned like just my like go-to. Greg is on my apocalypse zombie team.
Okay.
He's been driving semi trucks since before you and I were born. He looks like he's 82, but he's like in his 50s or 60s. But he is the guy that whenever, so he was like my go-to right-hand man when I was managing the trucks. He was like, knew how to fix everything, and he just would not stop. And he wouldn't put in all of his hours because he didn't want you got to give the company some of your time. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like first his theory was work, then family, and then I'm like, no. But what the point I'm getting at is that whenever he and I would go somewhere together, like, oh, we got to run up to Peterbilt to get a part for this truck, this semi or whatever, it would take us 2 hours to get there because he literally stopped on every time he saw someone on the side of the road changing their tire or their car was overheated. And I'm at the first time I'm like, oh man, this is so cool. Helping a lot of people. But then when it became an everyday thing, every time I'm like, Greg, we don't have time. But he literally didn't see the problem in it. He's got a lot of other things that he probably could improve on. He would still help you regardless of what you looked like. Because he's like, people need help. He's like, if I have the tools and I know how to do it, why wouldn't I help him? Like he literally didn't see the problem in it.
Yeah.
He didn't see why you shouldn't help somebody. He would get mad at me if I told him we didn't have time to stop. So that's what I'm saying is that like, it just cracks me up of like, I don't think he got joy from it. He just felt like it was important to do. Because he's like, they could be sitting there for 3 hours, or we can get them on the road now. And I'm like,
I have a brother-in-law who actually listens to this. Mark. He's my sister's.
That dude knows everything.
Yeah, he's my sister's wife's husband, and
so they have a term for that. It's called your brother-in-law.
Yeah, but I had to show you how he's my brother-in-law.
Sorry,
shut up. Could have been my sister's husband. Who knows? But anyway,
which is still your brother-in-law.
I know, but I wanted to tell everyone how he's my brother. Positivity.
Anyway, Mark. Yeah.
I have to be careful and say if there's like, hey, how's your car running? Good.
Because if you tell him something's wrong, he comes and fixes it.
Like holy crap! Just like he did for Copper Johns. I'm like, dude, Mark, will you come help me label? Like he's always asking. I'm like, Mark, for Cosmoprof when we get there,
you can help me label.
Will you please
bottles.
help me label? I don't have time to sell. Like,
he shows up with an industrial labeler.
He's like, hey, I spent $1,500. Here it is.
And then he sits there for 3 hours with us programming it.
I know.
And like tweaking it.
And then next thing you know, he brings a heat tunnel that, seals everything. I'm like,
he's like, I bought you a warehouse.
No, it's just like, there's people like that.
They're just, and goodness is ingrained in them.
But he loves to serve people, and that's a quality he has.
Yeah.
And it really, really does help improve your self-confidence. It helps improve like, it's sad that I have to watch what I say.
Yeah.
But at the same time, how cool is it?
Yeah.
Like I told, like when I had to go to work, but I got some sod from a neighbor who was digging up something to put, a patio or something. So it's just a small little thing. So I'm like, I was going to put the grass over the dirt on the side of my house. Well, before we make it a carport, I'm like, I'll put grass there. And so, yeah, I'll take it. He shows up to pick up his daughter, my niece.
Yeah.
My wife's sister's daughter.
Sure, yeah. It's called your niece, yeah.
And I'm at work, and next thing I know, he put in all the grass.
Oh, sure.
And I was like, Mark, I really, really, really hurt right here.
He's like, let me get that knot out there for you, buddy.
No, but it's just like the type of person he is
Sure.
makes me want to be like that.
That's cool.
But I don't know how to fix cars.
Oh, yeah.
I know how to do an alternator because holy crap.
Alternators are easy.
Oh, and Freon. He showed me how to put
recharge
Freon.
your AC.
I had no idea how to. He's the one who showed me how to fix it.
Yeah,
and
instead
I'm
of just driving around with your window down.
Dude, my back would be sweaty all the time.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I gotta YouTube that, Tyson.
Yeah.
That was really easy. So anyway, next one is visualize. Visualize what you want to achieve, and you'll achieve it.
You know what that's called?
This is all you, baby. What?
So do you know what that's called?
I have never said that in my life.
A lot of people call that manifesting.
Talk about it. Love it. Crave it. Be one with it.
I'm not following moon cycles or things like that.
How come you didn't say anything? Because that was so awkward, and then you just kept going.
Because that's just you. I mean, it's nothing new.
I have never said that to anyone.
It's all you, baby.
Yeah, I've never said that to my kids. I've never said that to my wife.
I don't know. I guess I've just learned to roll with the weirdness. But no, I don't. I'm not slamming into that stuff because I haven't gotten into it and stuff like that. But it's just people say it all the time. It's something new. Like visualize what you want. Like visualize the goal. Visualize the end.
Well,
yeah.
Is it visualize what you want, or is it visualize what you want and how you're going to?
Well, the whole thing is that everything's already yours. Everything's already there. It's just like when are you going to get there?
Yeah, but you have to know how to do it.
If you tell yourself you're never going to get there, you're never going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't visualize yourself at the finish line, you're never gonna, like, you're never going to get there. Like people who start out on a when they start out in a marathon, they're not wondering if they're going to finish the race.
Yeah.
They know they're going to get there, but they know they got to put in the work to get there.
Unless
so whether, whether you call it, like I said, we've said it 100 times, spirituality, manifesting, positive outlook, whatever. The thing is that when you have a goal set in mind and you know you're going to get there, like that's the visualization, is that you know you are already at that point at some point in the future. You just have got to put in the work until you get there.
Mm-hmm.
So then you follow through with your intuition. You follow through with just different gut feelings and signs and things like that you're getting to pursue that end goal that you know is already yours, that you're going to obtain one day, instead of sitting here thinking like, well, I wonder if I'm ever going to make it or whatever. You might fail 10 times along the way, but you're gonna make it there one day. That's the way that it's my outlook. I'm not saying like stamped Logan approved. That's 100% fact.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's working for me right now. I had goals of getting to where we're at today. And I knew, we've said this 100 times together, like, I know we're going to get there. I know and we still have more to go, but it's just the positive outlook. It's visualizing it. It's not riddling yourself with self-doubt. Because if you start the marathon, I don't know if I'm going to finish. By halfway through, you're just going to be beating yourself up, and you're going to be wanting to find ways to quit.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's to me, that's what visualizing the success is. I know I'm going to get there. I know I'm already there at some point in the future. I'm just having to experience it along this path right now until I get there.
I had a huge, cool contemplation as you were talking.
Yeah,
because
an epitome.
No, more ADHD manifestation.
Sure, hit me with it.
No,
it's all you, baby.
No, we were talking about last episode about coaching.
Sure.
And my mind went with what you said to football. I'm like, well, you practice, you practice. Then when you're in a game, it's instant. Like, if like for a linebacker, when I play linebacker, if it's going in this direction, you follow the tackle and you follow the guard. You look up where the seam is and you go where where they're running the ball. Like, you just practice it over and over and over. So when you see it in a game, it's instinct. And then I thought about coaching. And so all of this, and I'm like,
you started going down the path.
Coaching about this. And so in my mind, I'm like, not only are you like, what it's called, you visualize what you want, but how you will achieve it. So you have to be your coach. You have to visualize, like I close my eyes, but it's because you have to visualize it and then coach yourself on how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
And I really like that. I'm like, oh, good job, Tyson. But no, but that's exactly what I was thinking when you were saying, because you're saying the same thing. It's just, and I'm just saying it in a different way. Is that you know what I'm saying, baby? No, but I just think that's pretty cool, because everyone's like, yeah, manifesting it. But dude, manifesting is you can't just say, hey, I'm going to be a good person today.
Well, think about it.
How are you going to be a good person?
Well, let's put a spiritual twist on it real quick. Manifesting.
Say it right.
Prayer.
No, say it right.
What?
Spiritual.
Spirituality.
Spiritual.
Well, no, like prayer. You're praying to your creator or your deity to receive certain blessings that you know are promised to you if you abide by, commandments or gospel standards or things like that. You know that those blessings are destined to you if you follow along the path that has been set out for you. So you visualize those blessings, right? And like, I'm not saying one way or the other is wrong or right or whatever. I'm like, it's all the same stuff, just written in different languages and different ways of saying it. Is that there are certain, like, as human beings, and we're getting a little off topic, but like it all comes down to like the self-image, and like as emotional connecting creatures that we talked about this last episode, is that you're kind of like an antenna, right? So when you're sitting there beating yourself up over and over and over, you're shortening your antenna, right? You're lessening the amount of good experiences that are going to come into your life because you can't freaking see them, because you're too stuck inside your own head over and over and over about all the things that are going wrong, all the things that are constantly hitting you left and right, and that's all that you're focusing on. And there are times where it seems impossible that you can't focus on those. Right? I've been there 100 times. I know you've been there 100 times. I know Tommy's been there 100 times. Everybody has been there. But when you start to kind of pull that antenna up, like I said, whether it's you start, latching onto your spirituality, or you start latching onto, something maybe a little bit more, I don't even know what the word is, but like something that's maybe
Tangible.
a little tangible. Yeah. It's, if it's helping you move forward with a better outlook on your life, a better positive outlook, it's just helping you extend your antenna, chase it, follow it. Like, cause the higher your antenna gets, and like the more you can like just, you become like, I don't know, like a beacon, and you start attracting in other like-minded people.
You become a lighthouse.
You're kind of a lighthouse on a hill. That's what I'm saying, is you can sit here and you can compare so many different things between so many different religions and other spiritual ways of outlook, of like, it's all the same stuff. It's just said in different ways. And it all boils down to the fact of like, you are an important person that has a purpose for being here, and you're worthy of everything good that comes to you. Mm-hmm. And this life is worth living, and nobody can tell you different. And so why should you tell yourself any different?
Yeah. It's really hard when you see people who are, they're very critical on themselves.
Yeah.
It's really hard to see when they see no value that for them personally, and nothing you say or do can help them. And that's the truth when they're that deep and that full of despair. And so all you can do is just love them and be kind to them. But the reason why I say that is, I really believe this, all of us, and I mean all, are going to go through a point in their life when they feel that way.
Yeah.
A loss of a loved one. There's several other instances where it's just like,
yeah,
you feel for them, but there's nothing you can do. They have to dig themselves out. You can be there for them, you can love them, but I will say this, and this is kind of where I'm going to conclude. I don't know how long we've been going, but positive self-talk is not self-deception.
Ooh, that's good.
So when we acknowledge our faults, it's not a bad thing. We need to know where we need to improve. That's a good thing, to continually improve, continually to evolve to who we are. But it's not okay to make that an issue. It's not okay to think you are that person, because positive self-talk is focusing and acknowledging all our positives and staying with those. And then at the same time, focusing on improving our faults. So positive self-talk is not self-deception. It's about recognizing the truth in situations and in yourself.
I love that. I don't think that needs to be adding anything else to that. I think that's a perfect way to end. I like that. Positive self-talk is not self-deception. So, I love this, dude. I'm glad that we talked about this. I'm glad that this was a 2-part episode. It worked out beautiful with just this.
You're
is
beautiful.
You're beautiful. I'm beautiful. I'm self-affirmation.
You're beautiful, baby.
But just to kind of keep in line with what we talked about with the last episode and this episode, since it's a 2-part system, same challenge, but maybe a little bit different. Maybe last week we talked about, look in the mirror, tell yourself things. Look around you and find the positive things now too. Look around the part of your life that is good, so that you can find the things that that you find joy in this life. That would be my
I would actually, my thing is what I would say for people to try, and just literally, just even if it's just one, is to overwrite the negative messages through journal keeping, the gratitudes. Gosh, I always have a hard time with that. Gratitude.
My kids call it gratitudes because of you.
The positive affirmations of yourself, writing them down and going around the house and putting it there, because it does help. Surrounding yourself with positive people. If you're not doing that, figure it out.
Yeah.
It's harsh. And also set and write down your targets, create those goals, and figure out how you're going to do that, and then visualize that.
Yeah.
And I say these.
Shut up. But no, well, that's episode 50, dude. 50 freaking episodes. So thank you guys all. Slow clap from producer Tommy. But thank you guys all so much. Every episode really means the world to us that you guys pay attention to it. Please check out dadbodsandbeards.com. We've put a lot of time into that.
You do have blogs?
Tyson put a lot of effort in that. Yeah, dadbodsandbeards.com has blogs too. Check those out. Tyson spends a lot of time on that. That is his baby. And
I might not communicate well during the podcast, but I can write crap down.
And then check out our Patreon, where you guys can connect with us on a little bit more of an intimate level. Not that kind of intimate level, but just, more than just an Instagram DM.
Baby.
So, anyways, love you guys, and we'll see you next week.
No, good. Thank you so much for listening, guys. It means the world to us. If you have a chance, please give us a 5-star review, as well as write something a little pretty in there, so that we know that you know that we know that you care. Anyway, have a great day, guys. I can't do it.
Dude, that was good. I like that. You can't redo it without laughing. That was good.